It was 2009 and I was on my way to graduate from my high school. And with a future ahead of me, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life. I leaned into accounting and I took business courses leading up to my graduation, just for something that I could focus on. But deep down, my heart really wasn't into it as much as I was thinking. Beyond that, there was this issue that I was also very lonely. My social skills were an absolute mess. I was in a very mentally weird spot in my life.
That's weird.
I felt ultimately like a shell. I felt hollow inside. But I also recognized that I needed to change and that I was slowly getting frustrated over my mental battles and who I was deep down. I wanted to change my life so badly that I did something totally unpredictable and unprecedented at the time. I signed up into a volunteer program where I lived with a group of 10 other people that I have never met before for 9 whole months.
Damn, that's crazy. It's actually crazy.
As I mentioned in a previous video, that was ultimately just a bunch of scare tactics that I put myself into. But also, one of the ways that I convinced myself to go along with all of that was to frame it as one big moment in my life. The beginning of a brand new chapter that would revolutionize my life.
Wow.
My single chance to turn my life around and completely change who I was and who I was becoming, and become someone completely different that I would absolutely love to meet. Instead of being a completely different person at the end of 9 months, I was relatively the same individual after all of those months.
Well, that was a waste of time.
I was addicted to the internet, and instead of making connections with the people that were directly in my life and that I was living with, I chose superficial ones. I distanced myself from other people and had my isolationist tendencies that I still have to this day and that I'm struggling to deal with. I leaned into those things rather than trying to recover and make a genuine change. Yes, I was dumb and I was an idiot for doing that. But the reason I bring all of this stuff up is that we've all experienced something very similar to that. Maybe not the isolationist and the mental mess that I was dealing with, but perhaps the overhypeness of our goals and trying to make big changes in our lives more of a big deal than they actually are. So I want to take some time to be talking about what we can actually do about these kinds of moments and how we can mitigate some of the damages in our own lives and to temper our own hype and excitement over new changes or new chapters in our lives. To begin, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that self-help has a bit of a motivation issue. As I've talked about in several previous videos, hype tactics, scare tactics, and belief that we need to be constantly growing ourselves are all things that we have been told to motivate ourselves and improve our lives. And to their credit, they kind of do that to some degree.
Are you sure about that?
However, these are band-aid solutions, as I've said before in those videos, and they also present much bigger problems later on down the road that can be absolutely devastating for unsuspecting people. Unless we make gradual improvements to ourselves, things aren't really going to be changing all that much. So, in light of all of that, here are some of the suggestions that I would make for you to mitigate a lot of the hype and temper your own expectations. One thing that I recommend is to be more humbling to the very small moments or any kind of moment in your life, and to recognize your moments for what they truly are. The reality about that program that I took so many years ago was that while I did absolutely squander it, not all of it was lost. There was some silver linings to it. If I spent more time obsessing over trying to make it perfect or the big moment I played up in my head, I likely would have overlooked what I actually gained from that experience.
Life is good, but it can be better.
What I gained was crucial to me as a human being and to the person that I am right now. It provided foundation for me, and it helped me to build up my social skills, develop deeper empathy, and have a passion for self-help and personal growth and figuring out what made people act in certain ways. It ultimately developed this passion for myself and wanting to seek out connections and new experiences and exploring the world and myself. One of the best things you can do for yourself is to look at the moments in your own life that have happened in the past and as springboards. Instead of categorizing them as these big or small moments and trying to quantify them in that way, try to look at what you have actually gained from those experiences and what lessons you can extract from them, even if it is a positive experience, and especially if it's a negative one. Another glaring issue with a lot of hype tactics is how they embed good-sounding ideas, but unrealistic ones. Sure, every person would absolutely love to be a multi-millionaire, but if you lack the contacts, the ideas, or the time to make that happen, it's not going to be all that realistic here.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it.
People get lost into the idea of it, for sure, but they lose their sense of direction before too long. A simple way to address this is to actually figure out where in the world you want to be going with your life. Talk to yourself about your own values and how that ties into your overall goals and desires and ambitions. If you've already got all of that stuff, then it's a matter of checking your own options and avenues to make those goals real. Consider your own situation, your privileges, and your skills. And ask yourself, what can you realistically do with everything that you have right now? It also pays to explore why you're motivated to obtain a certain goal. Having a deep personal reason to work towards something is a given, but you can always refine it as the more you pursue something, the more you learn about yourself and what makes you tick and what that goal actually means to you. You find more reasons to keep on going and pursuing and chasing your goals. And the final strategy that I want to be offering you is to be acting on your emotions. Whether they are positive or negative emotions, we can always act on those emotions and use those opportunities to spring into new avenues for ourselves. We all have the ability to choose how we want to feel about those kinds of things, to be looking at positive emotions critically, or to be more reflective in negative emotions, for example. But ultimately, acting on our emotions can serve as a way to develop more motivation for ourselves, to find more motivation through our own emotions. If you regret the decisions that you have made to get you to this point, use that emotion to ask yourself how you can do better for next time. If you're happy, use that joy to appreciate the opportunity and do more of what you just did. More. And also to look at the people that are responsible that contributed to that happiness. If you're angry or frustrated, use that anger and frustration to reflect on lessons and how you can handle this problem in a more healthier way.
Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
The idea is to hype yourself up, for sure, but you want to be doing it just enough so that you keep on taking action and to keep fighting the good fight, as it were. While there is no doubt key decisions that are bigger than others in our own lives, the reality is we don't really know how crucial they are until later down the road. For sure, I have some regrets about the various decisions that I've made in my life, but they also led me to where I am right now. A series of very small decisions building up to something bigger and grander, or at least I hope so. That's really the secret to all of this stuff. the strategies that I was sharing with you are all these ways to build up small moments and build them up into something bigger and grander for yourself. Instead of buying into the high highs that so many gurus pressure us into and push through a variety of different means, look at what you can actually build when you take very small steps and start building up momentum. Eventually, I have no doubt that you will be building something incredible if you decide to curb your own expectations and stop buying into the hype and trying to sell yourself that every single moment in your life is this big grand moment that you should be trying to get the most out of. Before you go, I would really appreciate it if you left a like on this video and also subscribe to my channel for more content like this in the future. I love you guys.